Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money. Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Hello, you're welcome to today's edition of Money Radio on Leadership Podcast. Money Radio brings you the latest developments in Nigeria's business and economic cycles and issues of businesses around the world. My name is Innocent Odo, and today we are going to look at the future of agriculture amidst the growing insecurity in Nigeria. I find interesting to know that the widespread activities of the Boko Haram terrorists, ISWAP, and other bandits and criminal elements in Nigeria is hampering the development of agriculture in the country. Farmers who are right now supposed to be on their farms as a result of the rainy season are being scared away in different places, and they also have left their homes as a result of the constant attacks coming from these bandits. Kidnapping has also become another passion for the criminals who have indeed rendered most of the farmers helpless in the way of trying to grow food for Nigerians and also make us to become food secure. On this program today, we're going to look at the issues in perspective and how we might, apply solutions to these constant problems. And may interest you also to know that some state governments are beginning to take measures to counter this growing insecurity in their domains. The governor of Zamfara state recently asked the citizens to begin to think of how they are going to arm themselves legally and perhaps even otherwise in order to protect themselves from the scourge of these criminal elements that have come to disrupt their activities and, of course, push them into economic difficulties. I'm not alone in the studio. I'm here with Kes Hammond, with whom I'm going to highlight some of these issues. And then, of course, via the virtual platform, we're going to have Paul Wadima join us on the program as we go on this very important segment. Just to welcome you to the program, Kes Hammond.
It's my pleasure being here. Thank you very much.
It's always a pleasure to have you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Now, we're still on the familiar terrain, the issue of insecurity. And this is a matter that cannot be overemphasized because of the danger it poses to the very fabric of our existence as a people. And specifically talking about the sensitive area of growing food for our own security, for our own betterment. And the bandits have perfected this act of trying to disrupt farming activities by kidnapping the farmers and sometimes killing them as well, demanding for ransom, thereby making sure that the farming activities are reduced. And of course, this is a very big threat to food security in the country. Now, we are facing this danger and we seem to be even more confused now as to the right measures to take in order to curtail it, even as it grows faster than some of us are thinking. Kes, you have watched development so far in the country. What do you see? Where do we go from here?
There is no saying the fact that these guys perpetrating these dastardly acts are actually enemy of the state. You can't be killing the people who are producing food. If they are doing it consciously, when I say consciously, what I mean is if they are specifically targeting farmers to make sure the masses goes hungry, that is evil.
Mm.
And I think they are doing it consciously because when you talk about kidnapping people, the people who you kidnap for ransom should not be farmers. You don't expect a farmer to take huge amount of money if he has, in fact, to a farm.
Yes.
Worse still, these people are killing the farmers. So this thing seems to be intentional. That constitutes them enemy of the state.
Yes. An enemy of the people.
Enemy of the people. You mentioned something in your introduction which I would like to highlight. The parts of the country where these activities are rife are actually what we traditionally call in Nigeria the food basket of the nation. You talk about Benue State. Benue State is, and I am 95% sure of what I'm about to say. Benue State is the hotspot of yam production globally.
Yes.
I say so because Nigeria produces like 75% of the world's yam. And if Nigeria is producing 75% and the major yam hub of the country is Benue State, you can clearly call Benue State the
bread basket or the yam basket of the world.
The yam basket of the world.
Yes.
Now you are attacking the very people who produce yams. That is even affecting global supply of food.
Yes.
Just like we are suffering the Ukrainian crisis right now. These people are actually inflicting harm. Also, they are inflicting
serious harm.
Yes, serious harm on the populace, and they need to be stopped. And this is not something you can treat with kids' gloves, because if the longer you talk about negotiation, the longer you talk about our brothers, no. These things are going to have larger ripple effects on the economy. When you see Nigeria importing what had been traditionally exported, you know that
there's trouble. There's trouble.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Can we turn it over to Paul now? Yeah, Paul. Welcome, Paul. Can you hear me?
Thank you very much for having me. I can hear you clearly.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Oh, okay.
Talking about of agriculture and the growing insecurity in the country, you have seen some state governments making some pronouncements, asking their citizens, especially farmers in those areas, to get themselves armed against these marauding terrorists, bandits, and kidnappers. And how far can we go if the citizens are now being asked to arm themselves as a result of the disruptive activities of these criminal elements have actually hindered the food production in areas we call the food basket of Nigeria?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for this question. Like Case rightly pointed out, a state like Benue is described as the food basket of the nation. Now it is threatened, it has been threatened already by the insecurity. As you are aware, many of us, I believe, should be aware, Benue has over 500,000 IDPs right now. Many of these IDPs are local farmers who have been driven away from their families, from their ancestral lands, from their farms, that they could no longer go back to because of insecurity. Like Case rightly pointed out, if Nigeria is among the world's largest producer of yam, Benue is #1 contributor to that list. And Benue is not alone, especially when we come to yam that Case referred to or made reference to. If you know that Lambata and parts of Niger State, they are very good in yam production. Niger State is also being locked down by bandits. Many farming communities are deserted. For the first time in the history of Niger State, they are having IDPs. These are people that are supposed to be in their farms producing food at this time of the year when the country is at the rainy season. Like what Zamfara State government has done or plans to do, Zamfara State government is worried that if the insecurity continue the way it is going and it's not challenged, that there may be no food for people in Zamfara State. And of course, it means that Zamfara food will be cut off. Food production will be cut off from the national food value chain. So the government has taken a proactive step. If you listen to the statement by the Zamfara State government, as read by the Commissioner for Information, Ibrahim Dosara, he was specific in mentioning the fact that they want to protect the people of Zamfara from criminal bandits and terrorists, especially the farmers. Why was the Zamfara government specific on farmers? Because the farming community is essential for the survival of any society. The farming community is the bedrock of any society. Without the farmers, the people will die of starvation. Without the farmers, poverty will exacerbate. If you know the history of Nigeria, you know that most Nigerians are farmers. Only very few Nigerians live on white or blue collar jobs. Therefore,
I think I was having some challenges there. We try to reconnect with Paul and get some of these insights in what he's saying there on the challenges facing the farmers in Nigeria, especially the food belt of the country. And that is what we've been talking about. Kes, let me turn it over to you once again. It's really disturbing that the farmers are now being asked to begin to think about how to defend themselves. And that is an indictment on the official security apparatus of the country. And then we begin to ask questions. What happens to the security agencies when we have them in their numbers? We have the Nigerian police, we have the DSS, the army, you name them. And so if the farmers are now being asked to arm themselves, I don't think it speaks well on the ability of the security agencies to tackle this menace. It might be a demonstration of some loss of confidence in the way the security agencies have handled this issue of insecurity in the country. And therefore, the farmers and the citizens are now being asked to defend themselves. Is it just because they want to complement the efforts of the security agencies, or the very fact that there's a loss of confidence in what the security agencies have done so far?
Probably the security agencies, the military and paramilitary, have become overstretched. That is a probability. You know, you need to understand that the United Nations has a standard for the number of police officers a country should have. Now, when that number is supposed to be something in the neighborhood of that number is supposed to be something in the neighborhood of 1 to 300.
Yes.
1 to 300
police
officers. Yes. But we have far more than that. Then we need to understand that many of our police officers are actually not protecting the ordinary citizens.
Yes.
They are attached
to the VIPs.
The VIPs.
Interesting.
Yes. And so the security agencies are outstretched. And There have been reports that they are also outgunned.
Mm.
When you have a situation like this and you have low morale, low morale, we're talking about these guys have been around, these terrorists
Mm.
have been around for some time, and they don't seem to be going back. Now they say they are terrorizing communities,
Yes.
including Borno, including everywhere. These
Everywhere.
guys are terrorizing and they are spreading. With all of this, they have become so emboldened that they are attacking farmers and they seem to be doing it with intent.
Mm.
With that intent, I can understand that the Zamfara state governor is actually frustrated.
Mm.
And as a result of that, he made that request or he made that call. Albeit, in my humble opinion, I think it sets a dangerous precedent
Yes.
to tell civilians to arm themselves to fight uh, terrorists. Number one, civilians are not trained to
Mm.
do that. But there's a certain a degree of discipline
Yes.
a security personnel should have when it comes to rules of engagement.
Yes.
But when you have somebody who is not trained like me and you give me a gun and if I should shoot it, I may even begin to shoot a lizard and it may touch a human being.
Mm.
You get the point? So we need to have trained personnel handling guns.
Mm.
As a matter of fact, these terrorists are actually undergoing training.
Mm.
That's the fact.
The focus.
But you are not training the civilians. And so the civilians will actually be outmaneuvered, or you can say
Even outgunned, probably.
outgunned.
Mm.
They may even be out experienced.
Yes. Okay, just hold your thought on that. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, I will still return to the issues of how to secure the Nigerian farmlands and give the farmers more confidence and hope in order to grow crops so that we will not starve in the country. As living food insecurity is actually already facing the country, and we are trying our best to ensure that we make sure it doesn't happen. We'll go back. We'll come back.
Hey, at Lastford Podcast Studio, it is 1 year already. 1 year of making your day exciting with informative, educative, and entertaining programs.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we're on to Money Radio, and our topic for today is the future of agriculture amid the growing food crisis. The growing insecurity in Nigeria, which of course is leading to a looming food crisis in the country. And I've been in the studio with Kes Hammond, doing justice to this program. We've also been joined by Paul Wadema on their virtual platform. I don't know whether Paul has returned. Can we connect back to Paul? Yes, Paul, can you hear us now?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
You were making a point the other time, and we also want to follow it up with a question. The issue of this insecurity had been on for some time now, And we want you to look at how this has actually sustained and is becoming a very big monster. Do you think that the policies of the past, help to actually embolden these bandits? We understand in the past that when they were supposed to nip this crisis in the bud, some governments, especially in some parts of the north, were embracing the terrorists, tried to have what they call negotiation with them. We've seen pictures of where some of the governors and officials of government even went to the bushes where some of these elements have made their camps, and then taking selfies with them, and probably also exchanging, some allegedly some huge amount of money, probably to calm them down. But the situation has actually emboldened them and maybe has also motivated them to use some of the cash they acquire from government to procure more arms and expand the criminal business that they have been doing. And today has become a very big monster to all of us, such that even the security agencies appear not to be able to, contain them. What is your take on that?
Well, you know that in fighting insecurity, especially the terrorism variant, you have to apply basically two types of approach. The carrot and stick approach. I think what some of the state governors experimented with at the initial stage was to try the carrot approach. By trying to reason with the bandits, they thought that these bandits are reasonable people, that somebody can sit down with them and reason with them. They made overtures to them. They entered some kind of agreement with them. Unfortunately, the bandits are what they are. They are unreliable people. That was why some of the state governors that granted audience to them, many of them are regretting it, and they are not ready to follow that route again. But it was not totally out of place to try the carrot approach. Right now, because of the frustration, the unreliability of the words and agreements of the bandits, many state governments, especially in northern part of the country, have found out that negotiation is not the way out. These people need to be rooted out. But rooting them out is not an easy task, because these bandits have literally gained ground. Don't forget that Nigeria is one of the largest countries in the world and in Africa. And the landmass of northern Nigeria is so wide and so big that we don't have enough men to police all the areas in the country, especially in the farming belts of Nigeria. So there's a lot swath of land that are on ungoverned spaces that these bandits has taken over because of the few numbers of security men that we have around to protect the country. Our policemen are not up to 400,000 personnel in a country of over 200 million people. Our military personnel, the armed forces, they are not more than 300,000. How could we be able to maintain security under this kind of number? And the federal government is also not willing to devolve police power to the state and local government, which would have helped in policing most part of the country. The federal police have not been able to do much because they are outnumbered by the enormity of the challenges of securing this country. That is why the bandits are having field day. Bandits can enter a community in any part of northern Nigeria or any part of Nigeria whatsoever, especially the rural communities, farming communities, and operate for 4 hours, 6 hours, and there will be no semblance of any security stopping them until they finish their operations and left. This is a tragic situation. So what can we do about it? Are we to follow the Zamfara example? Of course, the Zamfara example could only be a short-term approach based on what is already on the ground facing the country. Do we allow the bandits to have a field day? Do we allow the bandits to stop farmers from going to farm? Are we ready to continue to bear the consequences of bandits determining how our farmers farm their ancestral lands? Whether they should be able to have access to their ancestral land. Can we continue like this? Already, it is pinching every Nigerian who wears the shoes of feeding his or her family. The prices of food stuff in the market is enough ground to tell the government authorities that this cannot be business as usual. There has to be a way out to deal with these bandits. Because I believe that if the bandits are aware that the communities they are trying to invade also have the capacity to confront them, they may think twice before invading communities. So to me, I see what Zamfara government is trying to do and what even Benue government is calling for, what even the governor of Ondo State is also calling for. Because if you recall, the governor of Ondo State, who is the chairman of Southern Governors Forum, is backing Zamfara State strongly on this call to arm the people to protect themselves. Why the federal government, it may not be, because if you listen to the statement by the Chief of Defense Staff, he was against the idea of arming the civilians to protect themselves. But whatever is his intention cannot be equated with what is on the ground. The governor is on the ground in his communities. They are the ones that know that their farmers can no longer farm. They are the ones that know that poverty is spreading when farmers cannot go to farm. And as poverty increases, so shall crime and criminality. So it is very important that something needs to be done so that farmers can have access to farm. And one of the things that needs to be done is like what Zamfara governor has suggested, or what has become the policy of Zamfara state government.
All right.
There is a need to protect the farmers, and the farmers need to be empowered to protect themselves. I think that may be a way as a short-time solution, but I do not see it as a sustainable solution, because the essence of government is the protection of lives and property. So I expect the government, in the long run, to take over the protection of lives and property of all Nigerians, including the farmers.
All right, Paul, we're almost running out of time now. Let me turn to Kes in the studio here. He has mentioned quite a lot of things there that we need to be more proactive in the way we approach these issues so that to be able to allow our farmers to go back and then produce food for us. Our time is already fleeting, and about in just a few seconds, Nigeria, you said we're overstretched, but then we have a multinational joint task force, operating in Nigeria and some other African countries. Is it not possible we can recruit some strength and capability from that joint task force if we're already overstretched to help us?
Not just that, but also sometimes
you have less than a minute.
Yeah, many times members of the international community have called on Nigeria for help when they have been in trouble, and Nigeria has been helping. These people have resources. When I say resources, I mean human resources to come and assist also. It wouldn't even be a bad thing, in my opinion, to employ some mercenaries to come and assist. Because the fact is, this thing is beginning to have a ripple effect, a spiraling effect on the Nigerian economy, which may be difficult to reverse if it is not nipped in the bud at this moment.
So
In fact, it should have been nipped in the bud long
before now. So we have to nip this crisis in the bud. That is the best way we can assure our farmers of their safety and encourage them to go back to produce more food for us to avert this looming food crisis that is already facing all of us in this country. It's on that note that we call it a day on this edition of the Morning Radio. I have to thank Mr. Kess so much for joining us on the program once again. It's always a pleasure having you.
Thanks very much.
And over there, Mr. Paul Wadima, who joined us via the online, via the virtual platform, also say thank you so much for joining us the program. And that is how we will end it today. And we promise to bring you a bumper edition when next will come. Stay blessed and goodbye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.